Tonight, we cover one of the most intriguing true crime cases of all time. When 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson didn't come home from the school basketball game, immediately Mrs. Johnson knew something was wrong. Riddled with conspiracy and wrapped in mystery, at first glance, how could a promising young athlete end up on the wrong side of the mat?
Hello, and welcome to Talk Murder to Me.
Good to be back on a Saturday night. We haven't recorded on a Saturday night in a long time. I like it.
Me love you long time. Wait.
That was part of John's wedding vows, if anyone was wondering.
Well, someone is wondering out there. I was on the talkmurder.com blog, and it shows me my stats for people searching in Google and Yahoo, and someone typed in, "Is the Talk Murder to Me host," most likely talking about Mya, married?
I think they were curious if we were married. Like,
Because it said hosts.
Yeah.
I think they misspelled that. I think they meant to say John.
Well, search again, young friend, and so we know what you mean.
But yes, John and Nicole are married if this is your first or
Well,
second.
hold on. I'm just kidding. No wonder
Keep
they
it
asking.
up. Keep it up. Let's see. Oh man. And we all got the same memo. We're wearing the gray sweatshirt crew today.
Oh.
We're ready.
Oh, you fucking assholes. Go change.
I was wearing this first.
Dude,
You're the
are
one,
you serious?
You're the one who changed
Everyone's
later.
wearing their... I should put on my University of Phoenix sweatshirt.
Do you have one?
No, because that would cost $60.
Those of you on YouTube are getting a treat this evening, let me just say. So it's 2021. You know, everybody made it through 2020.
Yeah. This is our second recording of the year.
I know. It's crazy already.
So Nicole's other half sent me this cool little opener from Japan.
You know, you're supposed to be my other half, but
Oh.
that's my...
It's a Sapporo opener from like the 40s. I think it's still got some radiation on it, actually.
Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. But I'm so glad that you like it.
It's from the 40s.
I love it. Yeah, look at it.
Yeah,
Well, let me open my beer first.
They got it at like a antique
Yes,
store.
so Danielle, thank you so much. I absolutely love that bottle opener.
Oh, it has a little can of Sapporo tied to it.
Isn't that cool?
I'm surprised that this has lasted
I
so
know.
long.
It's the radiation, I'm telling you.
Great.
So it's also a preservative. So you didn't give us a hint tonight, John. Would you like to remedy that and give us one right now, last minute, willy-nilly?
Gym mat, maybe. What?
I think I know what story you're covering.
Bullshit.
Yes.
Tell me.
No.
Just tell me in my ear.
No, that doesn't work.
Go like
that.
this. Go ahead, Nicole. Tell us what the story is.
I'm super excited because I did not research it. I just saw the headline. I was like, this is going to be an amazing Team John story. I know it.
This is a extremely popular story.
I'm really excited to learn what happened.
In fact, I was going to do this story before, and I never got around to it, but My Favorite Murder, that other podcast, they used our research for their story, because if you go to their website, it has talkmurder.com, our story, or the blog post that we...
Very nice.
That I didn't write it. I have a content creator. But that...
Thanks, Brianne.
Brianne wrote the whole post about it, researched it and everything, and they...
That's awesome.
Yeah, so they used that. So there's the story we're doing.
So can I say just the headline that I know? I don't know the details.
Yeah, go ahead.
All I know, well, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that there was a high schooler that was found like rolled up in a gym mat.
Oh my goodness.
Dead. But was it murder, suicide? Who murdered him? I don't know.
Okay. Most people think it's murder.
I mean, how can you roll yourself up in a Jim mad.
Well, let's find out.
So
let's take this
that's
shot.
what I'm super excited to hear about this case.
Well, we will find out. Surprise shots. Surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise.
I really hope that this isn't the scotch.
No.
That was more than one shot.
You filled those all the way up to the brim.
Dude, that's
It's Saturday night, and I'm staying over, so
That's
no
more than
rules.
one shot.
Woo, that was strong.
Fuck.
Woo. It tasted like whiskey to me.
Was not.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was Bacardi.
Really?
Son of a bastard.
Woo.
Yeah.
Was that the 151?
So for you guys that are brand new to Talk Murder to Me podcast, we are on all the podcasting apps, so be sure to subscribe. We're also on YouTube. That's youtube.com, and then type in Talk Murder to Me. You can see this story as we cover it, which means you can see all the photos and everything else. If you are, let's say, driving your car and you don't want to watch a video, you just want to go look at pictures, you can go to talkmurder.com, and the post is right there, front and center. Follow along with us either way, and let's get started.
My throat's still burning a little bit.
Really?
So this is where we are going tonight, and I'm showing them a Google Earth image. This is 1606 Norman Drive. Jen, can you tell me what this building looks like?
Dun 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 dun.
That looks like an athletic center.
That's a school.
Oh,
It's a nice school.
that looks like a gym. Like a.
Yeah, that is the gym.
Oh, okay.
Like the basketball court.
Yeah, it was. I looked kind of from that. It looked kind of like one of those stadiums, whatever.
But did y'all see where we're going? Did y'all see what state it was?
No,
No,
Y'all
I
weren't
couldn't
even
tell.
looking?
No,
I was
I
looking
couldn't
at the
tell.
picture.
There
Oh.
were no borders that were there.
I have to add the borders for you guys.
I'm just saying, it would have helped.
I mean, if you remember, we do go based off of shapes, like the
yeah, panhandle.
panhandle of Oklahoma.
All right, tonight we are going to January 11th, 2013. We're going to,
Oh wow, it was that long ago.
yeah, it was
2013.
Yeah,
7 years ago.
I thought this was a more recent
It
case.
is recent. It's pretty recent.
2013 was
It's
a good
always,
year.
this case is always in the news. This case,
It's still in the news.
as
Okay.
far as
Because I only just saw the headline fairly recently. That's why I'm.
January 11th, 2013, it is a Friday morning. Actually, it's second period. What's second period? That's like
Well, for
after
us,
lunch.
no, second period. Well, second period for us is like almost 11 o'clock to 10:57 to 12:19.
What?
That's late.
Why is
Well,
this
we start-
12:19?
Well, okay,
Wasn't
so
it
well
19?
this year, well, yeah, it's I don't know. This year is messed up because the kids start later. Normally the school hours are 8 to 4, but now it's 9:30 to 4.
Our
So-
school hours, I think, were like 7:45.
Yeah.
We started so early in high school.
7:45?
Yeah,
Dude,
we-
ours
yeah.
was 9.
Ours was 7:55 to 20.
Or at least mine.
I'll refrain from commenting.
7:55 to 2:05 was when I was in school.
That sounds right.
And then, but we also had a longer school year in Massachusetts. They have a shorter school year
Yeah.
here, and yeah, usually it's 8. Usually it's 8 to 4.
Woof.
No, wait, no, it's 9 to 4.
But
9 to
don't-
4, but now it's 9:30 to 4.
Yeah, 9:30 to 4. That makes sense because the parents have to be at work at 9. So it just makes sense they drop their snot-nosed kids off.
I'm not saying it doesn't make sense, but man, I
8:50
remember being at
8:55
school
to
at
4 was the
7:30
normal
in the
year.
So
morning.
I would never wake up at 7:30
Oh yeah,
for my kid.
I had to wake up at like 5:30 in the
yeah,
morning.
we had to wake up at 6. Yeah,
Not for my kid. You know, we
I'm
rode the
just
bus.
Saying.
I had a perfect attendance in high school, except for one day when I went to
Ugh.
my grandmother's funeral, and they counted it against me.
That's bullshit.
That
Isn't
is
it?
bullshit.
I need to get.
You
my-
should have skipped that. I'm just saying.
In life, looking back on it now, what would perfect attendance have really done for you?
It would have helped me graduate the year I was supposed to graduate.
I I could have gotten a medal, okay? I could have gotten a medal.
Okay, and then what? You know?
And then I would have something to be proud of.
Look who's talking as goody two shoes.
I'm just saying, there was a...
Oh, you're bad now, ain't you?
No, I'm just saying.
Skipping class, smoking weed.
When I was studying abroad, I had a
here we
class
go.
that I nearly failed, but just barely scraped by.
You
and
had one class that you did that?
Yes. And I had the option to retake it, and I said, you know what? Fuck it. Why? Why retake it when I could go take a trip somewhere instead? Fuck it.
Well, I mean, you were also abroad. Like, I would probably do the same thing. Like, if I was passing it, like, and if I knew I didn't need it to graduate, I probably would have done the same thing. Except I'd never got the chance to study abroad.
I'm just saying. I know somebody who got a, much better score and still chose to retake it.
I studied a lot of broads.
I'm sure you did. You study in one broad for now.
January 11th, 2013. This is a Friday. We're going to Valdosta, Georgia, right down the road from us. The school was actually right off the I-75. I've actually passed it.
The school or
yeah, the
I-75?
school. No, the school. And I never really, because I know exactly where it's at. I always see it, and this story, I was like, wow, I literally passed by that. Anyway, this is Valdosta, Georgia, second period. There's the high school right there. If you're looking at the YouTubers or on talkmore.com, I'm putting that photo up there for you guys. This is the exact crime scene we're going to. If you want to describe what you're looking at to our podcast listeners.
Gym mats and basketball retriever.
Is
Yellow
that what that
mats.
is? Yeah,
I
guess
would
it
not
is.
have known that. I never played basketball.
Yeah, that makes sense because the ball falls and then it bounces off.
You could also probably
I thought it
use
was like a soccer thing.
I mean, you could use it for soccer or you could use it for football too, but really at the angle it's at currently, it looks like it was being used for basketball.
Fair.
Yeah.
The gym mats look like legal pads though.
What?
They do. Oh my God, they
do.
do.
They do,
Rolled
yeah.
up legal pads.
That's funny.
That's fun.
Huge
great.
legal pads. What else do you notice there?
I noticed a volleyball net that's underneath that.
What?
Underneath the basketball retriever.
Oh, I thought that was a shoes or something.
The volleyball net is under the basketball retriever. Then it looks like a T-shirt is next to
Oh.
one of the legal pads.
Yeah. All right, so that is the crime scene, actually.
Very perceptive, Jen.
And those
Thank you.
aren't, well, they are gym mats, but more specifically, they're wrestling mats.
Wrestling.
Wrestling?
Wrestling mats. So
Like
they're
different from wrestling, or is it supposed to be wrestling?
I think it's supposed to be wrestling.
supposed to be wrestling.
Okay, thank you. I just wasn't. Why?
Wrestling's a weird sport to me.
We,
So-
we have a good wrestling team, and I went to my first wrestling match
I bet I
last
can
year.
beat them all up.
I'm sure
Probably.
you can.
Really? Sweet.
But that's not what wrestling is. It's not.
It's different than
Boxing.
WWE.
Yeah.
It's like actual wrestling, and it was very interesting, and people get into it
I think their outfits are really uncomfortable.
to look at or to wear.
Both.
We have a girl on our wrestling team.
Oh God, that is such a bad idea.
Yeah, no
You
shit.
could see everything if a
girl, like
a
wrestling with the
teenage
dudes?
boy. Oh my God, yeah, that's such a
Dude, that
bad
is like a
idea.
I think
sexual harassment suit waiting to happen.
I think she has to wrestle against another girl. I don't know the whole
That's
rules.
God,
crazy.
that's like the only fully attended wrestling match that the school would
Yeah,
ever
dude, that's a lawsuit.
We also
waiting.
had a girl on our football team this year.
Well, that's cool.
But that's
Yeah.
different though, because they're all padded up. Wrestling, I mean,
Well,
they're
she
like,
played JV, but still.
these mats right here were actually used by the students to store their tennis shoes.
The mats were used.
Yeah,
to store tennis
so what
shoes?
the kids would do, and I'm guessing it's and I don't know 100% why. Probably because I was more privileged, I guess, growing up. But I had my own shoes. I'm guessing they would use each other's shoes. I'm not trying to make fun of it, but it seems like the kids would throw their shoes into the mats if they're sharing the shoes with somebody, their basketball shoes. And then that way they don't have to pay locker fees, which I think is BS. Why would you have to pay a locker fee? You're a kid.
At a school,
Yeah.
you'd have to pay a locker fee.
Yeah, that's why
you
they
do have
did
to pay
it.
a locker fee. I think it's only $1 at our school, but
$1 a month?
no, I think it's only $1. I think
$1 a year? Like what?
I don't know. I'll have to ask.
That's weird.
Okay, it's more than $1.
No, but you
I
do-
didn't have to pay any. Well, I mean,
No,
it was a
yeah.
private
Well, yeah,
school.
that's what is kind of weird about
you
it.
paid a lot more, but
But
Yeah.
apparently, in this school, a lot of the kids would share shoes with other people, other kids, and they would hide them in these mats and then retrieve them later so they don't have to pay locker fees.
Huh.
So I never really heard of that, but I probably was, we're probably more privileged, I guess. I'd
Was
imagine.
it the wrestling shoes or like any shoes?
Well, I'm going to show you the shoes. These were basketball shoes specifically.
Well, I mean, it makes sense that they wouldn't just wear them out because you're not supposed to wear your basketball shoes out because they'll scuff the court. So we would always have to take our shoes off. Well, we didn't have to, but
Take your shoes off
Well, I mean, you
to play basketball?
No, you take them off when you weren't like you can't just wear your basketball shoes anywhere because it'll scuff the court because they have grooves in the sole, and so you can pick up pebbles and stuff in the sole. So you only wear your basketball shoes on the basketball court.
I never knew that.
Huh.
So that makes sense then. They like covered their shoes and hid them, so that they wouldn't
Have to wear them out.
wear them out.
Yeah, that does make sense. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, I never knew that.
So, real quick, kind of guess how tall and wide these mats are that you're looking at when they're rolled up.
6 feet tall. No, 8 feet tall.
8 by 12?
They're 6 feet by 3 feet.
Oh, I was
So,
so
6
close.
feet tall by 3
I
feet
said
wide.
6 feet.
Now, during the Christmas break, the mats multiplied because the school got more mats. So that's why you see them all kind of tossed around, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot more than there used to be there. So moving on, this is
Why didn't they just take the old mats and throw them out then?
Maybe they needed more.
Well, they
mats.
needed more, so they bought more. You don't throw the old ones out.
Oh, I thought you meant like they were just replacing them.
So
I wonder how big their wrestling team was.
So this is from the incident report. Now, this is second period gym class. The kids are playing basketball. There's always a group of really cool, popular girls over there that, I could never get with. They're over there and gossiping and talking about shampoos and pillow fights.
So fetch.
Yeah, and then
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
then the coach starts hearing this commotion going on, like,
Coach Carr.
Trang pack?
And if you want to read this is from the Lowndes County Sheriff Office. This is the incident report. It was filed that day. That's a Friday. So go ahead and read this.
Detectives Whitner and Pritchett of the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office met with Philip Piplow within athletic office. When asked to describe his involvement in the incident, he stated that during his life sports class, he was called by and who are in the class. He stated that the girls had been on top of the wrestling mats, which were stacked in the corner of the gym. He stated that he thinks that they had motioned for the other students within the class to come over to the mats because they believed they found something.
So obviously you know what was in there. Now, Coach Philip Piplow is the coach. He was actually in shock when he went over there and figured out what it was. The girls, they saw the socks of a young man sticking out of the wrestling mat. the
Just
mat.
socks?
Yeah, just socks. Well, the feet.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
was going to say, like, if they were just
excuse me.
like.
Yeah, the bottom of the feet with the socks on. And Coach Piplow goes over there and says, quote, this is what he says to the investigator. He stated that the smell and the person was not moving. So if you go back to that mat picture and you see the mats kind of thrown down, they were all standing up vertical
Right.
before this happened.
Mm-hmm.
So when the commotion goes on, and the girls are sitting on the mats, on top of the mats, so they're very sturdy, right? The coach runs over there and he starts pulling all the mats down to make way, and that's when you see him lying on the ground. Like, that was the exact evidence photo that I'm putting on talkmurder.com. That is how the scene looked. So the mats were kind of thrown on the ground. Does that make sense?
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So was the mat where they found the feet, was that mat vertical when they found him?
Yep, yeah, exactly.
So he was kind of like standing up?
Upside down?
He was upside down.
Oh.
Yeah, so head lower to the
Okay.
ground, feet protruding upwards towards the sky. The mat was vertical, and it was standing up straight. It was
And the
not
mat's
knocked down.
6 feet tall?
6 feet tall by 3 foot wide.
Okay. So his head's maybe not touching the ground because he's got a little feet.
Yeah, his
sticking out.
head's not touching the ground. Very close, but probably about a foot maybe. Well, I think he was, got to see how tall he was. I have it here in my notes. He was 5'10". Yeah. So.
All right. So his feet. So he's very close touching the ground. A little bit of his ankles are showing.
Well, let me show you the actual crime scene photo. And for you guys that are on YouTube, these next few photos, and I'll let you know when I show them. But they'll be very graphic. They do show the young man's body. So there's a trigger warning for you. And if you're on talkmurder.com, you can see these photos as well. But here is the picture that they took.
I was first imagining in my head that he was laying down, not upside down like that.
So if you want to describe that photo.
Very odd.
Oh, wow.
You know, the hole that's like space between is a lot larger than I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. There's basketball shoes that are there.
Yep, he is wearing socks. It looks like a very thick foam. It looks like the mat would be bigger than 3 feet wide.
Yeah.
Maybe it's attached to another mat.
If you want to read this is also from the incident report. It's a little long, but it kind of paints the picture pretty good. So if you want to read that for us, Nicole.
Piplo stated that students began yelling to him to come over, that they thought they had found someone in the mats. He stated that he climbed the mats, and when he reached the top, he saw feet inside. He stated that he could not move the person, so he climbed down and began to pull away the mats from the outside, trying to get the mat the person was in. He stated that students helped him clear the mats. He stated that he reached the mat and reached for the top of the mat and pulled it from the top down to the floor when he noticed that the person was deceased. Mr. Piplo became upset and was having a hard time speaking. He stated that he does not remember who called 911, but that he had all the children leave the gym area. He stated that the main children who would have the information on discovering the body were being held within a classroom and would allow detectives to speak with them.
When firefighters get to the scene, they're the first responders, so they're the ones that get there first. Obviously, they're going to perform CPR or whatever is necessary. The coach hears one of them say, quote, rigor, R-I-G-O-R, rigor mortis, has set in. So I looked up the time it would take for rigor mortis to set in. What do you guys think it is?
Isn't it only a couple hours?
Yeah, like 2 or 3 hours. But this body, I don't know, I'm thinking probably has been there at least 12 hours.
So average 2 to 4 hours, and it lasts a few hours to several days after it sets in. So rigor mortis is obviously where your muscles tense up very tightly and then they release. You guys understand?
I didn't know that they released.
Yeah. A dead body is just limp.
I didn't know that up until recently.
Yeah.
After 3 years of doing a murder podcast, I only just recently learned that rigor mortis goes away.
Just like I recently learned there's a silencer on smoke detector bullets.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, this is Kendrick Johnson, Kendrick Lamar, like the rapper, Kendrick Lamar Johnson. He's a 17-year-old. He was born October 10th, 1995, and he died January 10th, 2013. So he had several friends. He was a pretty popular guy, pretty popular kid. And he was part of the CVC, which was, this is little kid stuff, right? But it is going to become important. It's the Clyattville Click. Click is spelled C-L-I-C-K.
Oh, instead of C-L-I-Q-U-E?
Yeah. And the more I looked into this, because there is an aspect.
Is that their friend group that they called themselves?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah. And the reason it's important, and I'm even bringing it up, is because a lot of people think it is a murder. So
it was like a gang type thing?
Exactly. But, he did, honestly, the more I learned about this guy, this kid, he seemed to be a pretty straightforward kid, not getting in trouble and doing really good in basketball and stuff like that. But that's just my opinion. Now, he lived at 920 Ponderosa Drive, Valdosta. His mom drives a school bus for the school, and she'll kind of become important because she's the one that reported him missing before they found his body. He didn't come home at night, the Thursday night right before this happened. They found him on a Friday. He didn't come home Thursday. I'll talk about that in a second. He is 5'10" and 165 pounds. Here's another photo of him. Can you describe him for our podcast audience?
He has kind eyes.
He's got such a baby face.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Long dreadlock hair, but he looks really young in that picture. He looks younger than 17, a lot younger than 17, I think.
And all the Facebook posts and everything say that he was a great kid. So this is a very tragic story. He wasn't a gangbanger, getting in trouble, stuff like that. He's a really good kid, and which is really sad, 17 years old. Anyway, on January 11th, which was the day they found him, but
Freudian slip, the murder date.
At 12:30 a.m., so it just turned January 11th. This is 12:30 a.m. Jacqueline Johnson, his mother, which police later called Jackie, so I might call her Jackie. She reports her son missing. So this is 12:30 at night. The son was supposed to be at a basketball game. He didn't come home, and that's not like him. His curfew is 11:30 at night on school nights, which I think is kind of late, isn't it? What do you kids do? I mean, I guess if you're at a basketball game, but they usually get over like
9:30, 10. They usually end up by. But I mean, I guess it would depend on your individual parents as far as curfew.
So he didn't come home at 11:30. Obviously, the mom's really worried. Couldn't get in touch with him, so she went straight to the sheriff, and which was very smart to do. And the sheriff, or not the sheriff, but one of the officers, Sergeant Craig Robbie, he started printing up colored pictures of Kendrick Johnson because they wanted to find him. It seems like the Valdosta community is a very respectable community.
Tight,
I think they did a really good job, and that's just my opinion, but you may have a different opinion. All right, so the next photos that you're about to see are a little graphic, even more so than the earlier ones. So for you YouTube guys, here you go, trigger warning.
Oh no.
So this is
like he suffocated.
Or he was upside down and all the blood rushed to his face.
What do you notice about this photo? Can you describe the photo?
There's blood on his arm.
Well, describe what are you looking at for our podcast audience?
So we're looking at a dead body. His face is very, very like dark purple. And there is blood on his arms.
And around him.
Was
he wrapped in a sheet too?
No, he wasn't. That's his t-shirt.
His face looks like it's got some...
Or that's the sheet, the death sheet. They put him on the sheet.
Okay.
But he's got blood on him. Like
he's got blood on him. Yeah, there's a lot of blood.
There's blood on his face. There's blood on his arms.
So,
both arms.
And let me just break down the story real quick. There's two different theories here. Obviously, it wasn't suicide. So is it an accident? Did he fall down there himself and suffocate and die, or did he get murdered and was shoved down there? Those are the two theories. They're two different camps that are very separated. This is a heated case. Let me just say that.
It's a murder accident in this one.
So if you see the blood there, what is that? What does that tell you? What do you think? I mean, there's blood all over his body.
So I'm initially thinking, I was surprised at how wide those mats were, and if they're sturdy and you can like walk on them, and they're storing shoes, I could see where maybe he was like maybe trying to reach down to the bottom of the floor and retrieve shoes that maybe fell down the hole, and he got stuck. I could see that happening.
But would he be alone in the gym though? Like, was there any, like, that, because if you're alone, I could see that happening, but if you're with someone, then someone would take you out.
Agreed. But also, if you fall, why is there blood? How would there be blood?
Well, because he wasn't tall enough to hit the bottom, so he wouldn't hit his head unless he was lacerated by the mat. If there was a sharp edge on the mat.
Well,
It's faux mat.
look at this photo. This is his tennis shoe. What do you notice there?
A lot of blood by that tennis shoe.
It's a lot of blood. So if you
And then there's a Tootsie Roll wrapper.
oh shit, I didn't notice
shit.
that. And Jen notices the Tootsie Roll wrap.
Tootsie Rolls are gross. Honestly,
Whatever, dude. Get outta
Tootsie
here.
Rolls
I like the
nasty.
fruit flavored ones.
Are you
Ugh.
serious, dude?
Nasty.
What did you?
Tootsie Rolls suck.
You know what?
The only moderately okay part of a Tootsie Roll is when they're in the Tootsie Pop, because then you can say how many licks does it take, like the little owl
3.
guy. Yeah.
I like the cherry Tootsie Roll Pops the best. Those are the best ones.
I'll do a Tootsie Pop, but I will not.
I'm
do
not
a
really
Tootsie
that
Roll.
mad because I really don't like them either.
You
I
just
just-
want to fight me.
I just want to fight you. But you said something the other day about the bullseyes. Remember the bull?
Yes.
I didn't know they were called that. I love those things.
Actually,
They
I did
actually
like those.
they're the same thing as the cowtails, except they're just smaller.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
and they're in a
Just
circle.
snipped,
Yeah.
They're like they're cow's tails, but they're just cut.
Yes.
We see those in Worthworthers. Worthworthers.
You
Werthers.
also liked what is the Whoppers?
Wow,
Oh,
loves me some
gross.
Whoppers.
I like the only time I'll eat a Whopper is when it's in a robin's egg, like for Easter. Yeah, I like those.
No, you take a bunch of Whoppers and you put them in a bowl and put milk on them, and then that's your breakfast.
like cereal.
Like Cocoa Puffs. The first time I ever had Cocoa Puffs, I had, like, my mom would never buy that kind of cereal.
Uh-huh.
So I had, I think, 5 bowls. I was like, this is amazing.
I can't. All right, so people.
I yarfed. I was like
gross.
5 years old. I just loved it. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
I didn't like Cocoa Puffs.
Oh, God.
That's
I love
not even breakfast. I don't feed your kid that. That's nothing but sugar.
Well, that's why my mom never bought it. I was at my aunt's house.
I
and
like
she let me
Frosted
have 5
Cheerios.
bowls. Ooh, yeah.
Okay, let's get back on track because this is a pretty. We're like right in the middle of the death.
Sorry.
Okay.
Death scene
Sorry.
photos.
Bloody
Yeah, sorry.
shoe.
Bloody shoe. The next photo also is a very graphic. This is his
jeez.
body.
That face is swollen up. And it looks like his lips cut.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
Amash, even his teeth are like dark. Like they're not like regular teeth. Like
I think that might be just his lips that swollen.
I want to point out that there were bloody tissues found in the trash can of the girls' bathroom, which, I mean, I thought that was just probably normal, right? I mean, I find bloody tissues in our bathroom, which is gross.
Are you talking about menstrual cycles?
because that doesn't
menstrual
happen.
tissues?
Well,
No.
it was that, yeah. Well, it happens to high schoolers too.
But no, I mean like we don't take our menstrual tissues and throw them in the regular trash. That's what the disposal bucket is for.
There's garbage cans within
Okay, I don't know
stalls.
how that works. Anyway, I was trying to bury the lead there. It was actually a cheerleader that got hit with a flag that day.
Oh,
Okay.
bloody nose.
See, I was like, I actually do get bloody noses a lot.
All right, if you want to read this headline here, this is from the Valdosta Daily Times, May 2nd, 2013.
LHS student death draws L. Sharpton.
Didn't he die recently?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, shit, really?
He may have been a 2020 casualty.
I think he might have been.
Oh, man. That's crazy. What did he die of? Just old age?
I don't know.
I think so. I think he was old, yeah.
Hmm.
In his 80s, maybe.
Okay.
I know Little Richard died too.
A lot.
All right, so what do you guys think as of now? He's found in a mat. There's blood everywhere. Tell me your thoughts.
I mean, I could buy accident, but there is a lot of blood.
Yeah, I would say if it weren't for all of the blood, I would think accident as well.
All right, cool. And let me know what you guys think. Go to talkmore.com and let me know. Comment on the blog.
Despite the protests, Lowndes County Sheriff Chris Prine, not to be mistaken with Chris Pine, said his department performed a thorough investigation and found no evidence that Johnson was murdered. You can't make an accident a murder or a murder an accident, said Prine. The only thing we can do is go by the evidence that was collected at the scene and present it to the medical examiner. Nothing on a body suggested anything other than accident. I don't know. I mean, we've seen some medical examiners do some pretty terrible things. Boys on the tracks, anybody?
Yeah, what was that guy's name?
Oh, I don't remember.
I'll give someone $10 right now. $20.
I don't remember what I did yesterday, John.
Dang. Wait.
You can't ask
give
me
me what it
questions
starts
like
with. Give me what it starts with.
An A.
It sounds like Rami Malek.
Oh. Fami. It was like Fami.
It was.
Fami Malik, wasn't it? It was like faux. I remember us talking about faux.
You better go
things.
watch that episode again. All right.
That was one of my favorite episodes of all time.
Do you guys want to see instead of seeing the photos, the actual video of the investigator on the crime scene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll put this on talkmurder.com. We're going to watch this video. And for you YouTuber guys, it's right there on the screen.
Blank came to the sheriff's office to report some Facebook posts. Blank stated that on today's date, after the student had been found at Lowndes High School, a student named Blank posted on Facebook something to the effect of, "When you start missing, the goons' bodies start showing up." She stated that shortly after the post, he deactivated his account, so the message was no longer visible.
So going back to his clique that he was in, apparently he was sleeping with a wrestler's girlfriend that was in the school, and her name was TT. TT. I don't know her real name. She's a minor. So apparently he was sleeping with her and
Jealous boyfriend?
Jealous boyfriend. All right. So KJ was reported as being assaulted earlier from a fellow student, and he slept with his girlfriend. Allegedly, her name was TT. If you want to read this is from, I think this is from CNN. CNN was the one that really covered this case more than anyone else. They're the ones that filed to get the surveillance camera footage. They received it first. Anderson Cooper, right? Yeah. Anderson Cooper was all over this case.
Jim Matt death shocker. Body stuffed with newspaper.
Oh, wait. How did he get newspaper in him?
The body was taken to the morgue. Okay. The family wasn't satisfied with the reports that the medical examiner said that, oh, this was an accident. There's no trauma. He died of positional asphyxiation. That was the cause of death. Positional asphyxiation. Basically, he fell down there. The family says, no, that didn't happen. We demand a second look, a second autopsy. They exhume the body. They open up Kendrick Johnson, the 17-year-old, and there's no organs. There's just rolled up newspaper, which is fucking crazy.
Did he donate his organs?
No one knows where the organs are.
What?
The parents were pissed.
No doubt.
As they rightly should be.
So it's almost as if someone at the morgue like sold his organs on the black market or donated them without permission from the parent.
So when they do an autopsy, because I looked this up, when you do an autopsy and you're a medical examiner, you remove all the organs.
Right.
That's what you do.
Right.
You take the organs, you put them aside, and then once you have done the autopsy, you put the organs back into the body, and then...
Like a C-section.
Exactly. And then you take the body, and then you give it to the morgue. The medical examiner says he put the organs back. The morgue gets it, the funeral home. They said there was no organs in here to begin with. So they stuffed it with newspaper. So someone's lying, but no one has officially taken credit for that lie.
Well, yeah, I mean, someone needs to tell the family that there are no organs in there, and I feel like the funeral home should have said something to them.
The funeral home says, quote, "I'm not sure at this point who did not return the organs to the body, but I know when we got the body, the organs were not there." That's what they said.
Well, I'm just wondering, when someone dies of natural causes or in a hospital or in an accident and they go through the process, who is in charge of, asking if the organs should be donated, or because if it whoever that responsibility
It should
lies
be the
with,
parents. The
No.
parents didn't really get any say in this.
No, I know that. I'm saying who.
It's still I'm not 100% sure, but it's still with the charge of the hospital because that's a medical procedure because you have to do it quickly if it's a donation, right? You gotta be. It's got to be soon after death. Like the organs have to be still okay enough to be transferred to another body.
Yeah,
his may not have been okay enough to transfer to another body if it's been a couple hours
that makes
without
sense.
ice.
Yeah, here's the thing.
So if that's the case,
there you go. So everyone's there's a couple sides here. Number one, black market, which is bullshit because that
his
kid
organs
has
would have
been there
been
for 24 hours.
Well, no one's gonna want
his
Who the
organs were
fuck's
not
gonna-
usable.
Yeah, they were not usable.
But it
black
is
market
weird.
is
But if you're
bullshit.
selling it on the black market, do you really care what condition the organs are? You're selling it on the black market, like you're gonna get your cash, whether or not. Like,
Fair.
Yeah, and
A
you can
liver's
also
a
get
liver,
A
and then
shotgun put in your mouth too, and the organ is all.
I'm just
black.
saying,
Done.
and I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying.
No,
Fair
this
point,
is
though.
this is
Fair
a good point because a lot of people out there, that's the first thing they go to, black market, because they that's like the buzz where they hear a black market.
I mean, it wasn't like accidentally
organs-
donated by the hospital.
Right.
We know
well,
that.
here's all right.
Well, I mean,
So there's two people that has the body, which after the death, that's the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. They conducted the first autopsy in January, obviously right when he died, and the Harrington Funeral Home in Valdosta, they handled the teen's embalming, so they would embalm it. Now, as far as stuffing it with newspaper goes, I actually looked that up. That's not a common practice. It's a very strange practice that was used the last time it was used was almost 100 years ago. It's very weird why they did that.
What do they stuff bodies with if there are no organs?
Cotton.
Some kind of fabric that isn't cheap, shitty newspaper.
Interesting.
So they're basically trying to save money to stuff the body, because if you don't stuff the body, it's obviously doesn't
We're gonna
look...
shrink.
Yeah, so a GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation spokeswoman Sherry Lang tells CNN after the autopsy, quote, "The organs were placed in Johnson's body. The body was closed. Then the body was released to the funeral home. That's the normal practice." So most likely the funeral home takes out the organs. They don't put them back in for whatever reason. They didn't sell them on the black market, or if they did, they didn't get any use because it's been 24 hours. Yeah, a lot longer than that, actually. They're not usable. And then they stuffed it with newspaper, which they used to do back in the day, like 100 years ago, but they don't do that now. It's not common practice. So that's how that is. But every organ from the pelvis to the skull was gone. And
Wait,
that included...
The skull?
Yeah, the skull was gone.
so he was.
They took everything out. And that includes the brain, heart, lungs, liver, and other viscera was missing. Now, here's the other thing. So if it's not the black market, then why else do it? Well, you can, if you're covering up a murder, kind of like, what's his name? Boys on the Track, Fahmy?
Yeah.
Fahmy Malik?
Fahmy Malik. Thank you. I did get it right.
Fahmy Malik from the Boys on the Track episode. Remember, he would saw the skull with a buzz saw. So you can't, so when you when you do a second autopsy, the body's so desecrated, you can't get an accurate estimate of death. Does that make sense? So if someone was to take all the organs out and put it with newspaper, it's going to be pretty hard to prove that he was murdered.
Have they done any investigations of
They've exhumed the body three times.
No. I mean, anyone, and you may, unless somebody else has researched this, you probably wouldn't have known this. But does someone who works at the funeral have any family connectivity to someone in high school?
And that's what I was going to ask, because you said it was a tight-knit community.
Okay, yeah.
So,
is the funeral director's son a teenager too?
Or are they connected to administration at the high school?
I'll get into that in a second.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and tease it for you guys.
Because, I'm
gonna tease it. Can I tease it for you?
Yeah.
The one that assaulted KJ, they used to be good friends. Star wrestler.
Uh-huh. Oh. He was put in a wrestling
Parents, both mother and father, FBI agents. I'm just saying. You see how this case is like, what the fuck?
Hot damn. You know what? I keep flashing back to the freezer
Both
one.
parents?
The freezer episode that we did, Tamika Jones in the freezer. And I was like, no, like, I hate to say it, but that was just total accident. She didn't mean to lock herself in the freezer. This one.
Well, let me say.
I don't know. I think it's murder.
The family,
Murder Inc.
bless their souls, the family, okay, even if it was an accident, and, you know, I'll tell you my stance a little bit, even if it was or not, the family, I mean, come on, man, you take his organs out and put it with shitty-ass newspaper.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked
That's
up.
not cool, man. That's just not cool.
It's also...
It's very, it's disgusting, and then the funeral home is completely absolved of any wrongdoing, and everyone's absolved of wrongdoing. It's just not right to do that, to take a 17-year-old boy's body and desecrate it like that. The mother, Jacqueline Johnson, says, quote, "He was stuffed like he was a garbage can," end quote, and which is not far off. I mean, it's sad. I feel for the parents that do, and I can see why they're really pissed. Dr. Gregory Schmuck,
What a schmuck.
the president of the National Association of Medical Examiners, Dr. Gregory Schmuck, tells CNN, quote, "I have never heard of this practice." And he is the president of the National Medical Examiners.
Which does add that much more suspicion
Exactly,
to it, right?
'cause
Like,
why
if it
would-
was using typical practice of using an expensive, or you know, not expensive, but a cloth or cotton or something that is used when organs are being removed, it wouldn't be as suspicious. It would just be like, oh, well, maybe
but-
somebody did something that maybe they weren't supposed to
Okay,
do.
so
But
I
the
feel
newspaper
like-
makes it seem like
I feel
it's
like
shady as F.
This is what makes it shady, is the fact that the funeral home should have told the family that
Well, they may not have. So that's what makes me think either it's the funeral home, like maybe the funeral home did it, or they could have just like not. You're okay. Hang on, I'm thinking through this.
they need to have said something to the family. If the family didn't know that the organs were there, if the family didn't know that the organs were not there, the funeral home should have said something to the family, but they shouldn't have put newspaper in there.
It would have been the funeral home then that would have stuffed him with newspaper.
I'm wondering,
Because otherwise it would have been so strange. Like, I don't think that would have been something the hospital did.
The only other
or
thing-
it would have been so strange that the funeral home then would have said something like, wow, that's an unusual practice.
the only other thing I can ask, and what was the socioeconomic status of the family? Because if
I don't want to really go there. I'm not trying to be mean, but just be honest, the mother is a bus driver for the school. I don't believe the father was around, and he is sharing shoes with someone.
Well, maybe the
Just
and I'm not
saying.
saying this is right, because I don't think it was right. I think it was wrong. But maybe
awful.
they were trying to cut costs.
That's
for
what
the
they
family.
were doing, but they were doing it with a 17-year-old kid.
And
No. But she's saying maybe they were doing it
so that they could, so that the family didn't have to
And
pay
maybe,
as much.
Maybe.
That's the only thing I can
That's
think
a
of.
great point.
Maybe, and I didn't think of that. Maybe.
That was a great
Well,
point.
we got to move on. This is getting way too long already.
Oh, no, but it's so good.
I know. Let's talk about the CCTV footage.
Okay.
What you guys are listening to now is a video from the Valdosta Times. This is their complete kind of walkthrough of the CCTV cameras. They are motion detected, which is very important because they're if you
So, like during class periods, they won't be on.
exactly, and because at first CNN was like, well, why are kids appearing out of thin air on these cameras? Because it takes a second for it to turn on, and that's why. And so you don't have to ask that question. That's why it looks like kids are just appearing out of thin air.
Apparating.
Released for the first time by the Valdosta Daily Times, we are able to follow 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson on his final walk through the halls of Lowndes High School. Kendrick's path takes him through C wing of the building, following his third block class, which was dismissed at 1:25.
grainy that footage is.
We see the smiling 17-year-old
There he
make the
is.
turn and continue past the guidance and administration offices. Kendrick continues unimpeded down the hallway, passing other students and entering the gym at around 1:28. Kendrick and another student disappear from the image after this frame, as they are both now outside the limits of the motion detection system that activates the camera. The next frame shows several students passing by. A student wearing a bright green shirt is joined by a student wearing a blue shirt. These same students can be seen on the hall camera passing through the entrance of the gymnasium approximately 3 minutes after Kendrick.
There was no footage of him coming out. He died at 1:32 p.m. You guys understand that, right?
Or sometime within that school
Because
period.
he's at the end of the gymnasium. The doors, the double doors, that's why the sheriff showed the double doors, were locked.
Mm-hmm.
Between 1 o'clock and whenever he died, he was in the gymnasium. But they're also doing gym class in there.
So did he have-
he's not the only one.
Did
So
he
if
have
you're talking
gym class
about
that period?
Well, he was just playing basketball.
So did he have a free period?
I-
Like, where was he supposed to be?
I don't know where he's supposed
No,
to be.
I'm not
Maybe it was a free
necessarily-
period, but other people, as you see, were going into the gym. So if it is a
It's
murder,
still during the school day.
it's 2 in the p.m. They still had they did an entire cheerleading practice before the basketball game
But it was also like it could have happened
in the gym.
It could have happened when he was. I mean, that footage was from when classes were changing, so there weren't that many kids in the gym. So maybe they were passing through the other double doors, but but you would expect if there was cheerleading practice or something, if he was. You'd expect that maybe you would hear him struggling or like something. Like you don't die right away from being upside down. How long does it take to die when you're upside down?
I don't know. But I will tell you this. There's a video of a guy, and this is kind of sad, but I don't know why I know this, but he was a Mormon, and that's all I know. But anyway, he was not rock climbing, but tunnel diving or whatever, where you get into these caves, cave surfing or whatever.
Like the 127 hours?
Yeah, and he was with some friends, and he went into this tight crevice, giggity, and he...
We've officially watched too much Family Guy.
Anyway, this guy goes into this tight crevice, and he's upside down completely, and they tried to rescue him, but his body swelled. They couldn't get him out. He died, I think it was 8 hours or something and later. And they were trying to pull him out, and they couldn't. But Jesus Christ, how scary is that?
But like, I feel like if you are...
So it took a few hours. The Kendrick didn't just fall in the mat and then just die instantly.
Right. So I'm saying if
So
they
you're
have
saying someone
if
would
they
have
have
him.
activities
Someone
at
would have
the
heard him
if they have
yelling
activities
for
in the
help.
gym, if they had a basketball game that night, there someone should have been in the gym if they're having PE classes, or someone should have heard
People
him
are
struggling.
walking in and out in that. I mean, even if it's just a handful of people.
Okay.
Or
all
even
right.
if they see the other mats that are displaced, it'd be like, that's weird. Why is this like this? You know what I mean? Like, you don't just
There were
ignore that
cheerleaders the next day sitting on those mats.
the next day. But
Yeah, right.
what's going on?
By then he's dead.
So
But we're
you're
saying-
sorry. So someone would have hurt him if he fell in. Someone would have also hurt him if he was getting murdered and stuffed down the mat.
Unless he was murdered,
Yeah.
unless he was murdered outside of the gym and stuffed in the mat afterward.
Well, he's
So they
you
have
see
to
him walking
bring his
in
dead body into the gym, and
which is
there's-
covered by CCTV.
There are students playing gym PE,
yeah.
and they're just gonna watch someone stuff this boy's body down the freaking tubes.
It's
if
all
it's outside
weird.
of, if it's outside,
You try to pick up 160 pounds and stuff it down a mat. That's impossible. You'd have to have more than one person.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, you.
Which the guy had a brother.
Well, okay, so
Just kidding.
clearly there was not.
Okay, we I'm sorry. Make your point. We got to go on.
Let her
There's
talk.
just not sufficient camera footage in the gym to see what happened.
No.
You only have that one frame, so we don't know what happened, obviously, because we're talking about this case right now. So, I mean, if something happened in the corner of the gym, maybe during the basketball game that his mom said he was attending, some kids hang out in the corners of gyms all the time, and you don't necessarily see everything that happens. And then they could have hung around after the game and put him in the mat there. But there's no footage. You can't see.
So Kendrick stayed willingly in the gym between 2 p.m. and the basketball game and didn't go to the bathroom, didn't pee, didn't walk out the door or anything.
It could have happened, it could have happened during that free period. You don't know what was the schedule of the high school during that time. Was there a class occurring?
The point is he didn't leave after that one time.
Yeah.
It would have caught him leaving.
Yeah.
There was other cameras too that would have shown him leaving. He did not leave after
people left. The person in the green shirt left, the person in the blue shirt left.
After 1:30, he didn't leave, which means he was most likely dead. And if he's playing around in the gym mats or whatever, or getting murdered in there, you have a whole gym full of people. The guy from CNN, because CNN was responsible for getting these tapes, which is another fucked up thing. Sorry, Miss Johnson and Father Johnson. It was an accident, but we're not going to give you the tapes.
No.
Why has CNN got to be the one that has to subpoena the court to get the tapes? If it's just an accident, give them the fucking tapes. Anyway, they got an outside video analyst, Grant Fredericks, who said that these tapes have been edited and they're not raw footage.
I was also wondering about the tapes, why there was only footage of that one entrance and not the other entrances.
Well, the other entrance was blurry, apparently. The tapes are very suspicious.
Do they know who the other folks were who were in those images? The blue shirt, the green shirt.
I'm sure they do, but they...
Yeah, usually
I'm sure they do.
When you're looking for, for example, at our school, like, if there's a student that there's footage for something that they need for something, they'll be like, does anyone know who this student is?
This is the footage here, and as you see, the blue is when the camera is active, and then it all just stops, and there's absolutely no footage for an entire hour, even with students there. The camera on that specific day, that day only, was completely blocked out for that 1 hour.
Well, if there's motion censored cameras,
and
how is that possible?
And if the other doors are locked, then they had to go out that other door.
Okay, so tell me where y'all are right now.
Oh, I'm thinking it is conspiracy. Total conspiracy.
Okay, let's watch this video right here. This video, the video that I'm about to show you, I'll put on talkmurder.com, will explain my side. I believe this was an accident.
Oh, John.
But I'm not saying I'm right, but watch this, because you said you can hear him screaming. And so basically, he goes in at 12 or whatever it is. They see him there, and then it's blocked off for an hour, and then that's it, right? So check this out.
What's your name?
Sean Pollock.
Sean Pollock. Where do you wrestle?
Cal State Bakersfield.
Cal State Bakersfield. We're going to do a test. I believe his name was Kendrick. Forgetting his name. Kendrick Johnson, the KJ.
Like 6
and
foot.
This guy's, he's 6 feet tall. And if he was vertical in a mat, this is what would happen. Go ahead and let's tip him up.
How do you get
Felicia,
in
can
the
you help?
vertical position?
Just watch.
Yeah.
Because he goes down head
So-
first to get his shoe.
We're showing you right now.
At the top,
Go
he
ahead and
goes
yell.
down.
Yell for help. Yell for help. Can you hear me?
Yell again.
See how nobody would hear that?
You
You
can't
say
even
it
hear him.
loud. Nobody can hear
You
him.
can't hear him at
Try to
all.
get out.
Especially if
very
things
Try to
are
get out.
on in the gym.
Try to get
Try
out.
to knock it down. Try to knock it down. See, you
barely see
can't.
it
Now let's
moving.
tip him over.
And there's 10 other mats
Let's
there.
get him
How
out.
are you even going to see that moving?
15, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Hey, in a few hours, blood will pool in your head. You won't be able to survive,
Listen,
and you'll die. And he was found the next day.
It's so hot in there.
it's so hot in there.
You what? Tell
Blanket, dude. That's how you
tell us how it felt. Like you can't move.
It's sketchy.
The mats were pushed all the way to the end of the gym, and there were other mats in front of it.
So we're saying
So his shoe, he's going down there
To
head
get his
first to get his shoe, and then he gets wedged in there. He's fucked. No one else is there. He screams.
how
He probably does scream, but you can't hear it.
okay.
You can't hear it.
Well, the mats are bigger. It's
no,
way
it's the
big.
same mat.
I know, but they said it's eight. It's really
These are the same mats.
Okay.
There's no difference.
okay. So, never mind.
So if he's in face first, head down, going to get the shoe, and the mats are pushed all the way to the end, and everyone else is doing gym class over here, that mat that you just saw in the video was right at the camera, and you could barely hear him. push that mat 50 feet, 100 feet away and see if you can hear. You can't hear them. You can't see it shaking. If you get down there and there's no one to see you, you're dead. That dude was sweating. He was in there for less than a minute.
I guess my question would be, it just depends on who was in the gym at the same time as him, because if you're climbing on top of the mats and you fall in, like...
Well, look at this photo. This is where the mat was.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You see?
He's in the, that's the far corner.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean...
So, yeah, you're not going to be able to knock down the others.
No,
Sure.
you're done. Unless someone sees you fall in there, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Which, number one, they need to fucking fix that fucking problem right now.
Okay, so
somehow, I don't know, put caps on them or something, but you can't have this shit happen again.
So here's my other... The fact that the cameras all stopped at like 12:04, even though it's a motion-censored CCTV and there are classes going on, that's a little strange to me.
I also think that even if the camera was blurry, they should have tried to release the other tapes of the other entrance, even if those doors were locked. Because if there's motion sensor, if they're 360 cameras, then something should have gone off.
All right, so you know, guys, what I think? I think it was an accident. The body was exhumed 3 times, and it had an autopsy 3 times, which by then, and I've done a lot of these cases where if the parents had a tragic situation, their son dies or gets murdered or whatever, they hire somebody. That person, whoever they hired, has an incentive, even if he says he's unbiased, to tell the family what they want to hear. That's just human nature. So the 3rd autopsy, if you want to read this is what he suffered from.
Blunt force trauma, right neck involving right mandible and soft tissue, including the area of the cardioid body consistent with inflicted injury. Blunt force trauma, right anterolateral thorax. Note, unexplained, apparent, non-accidental blunt force trauma. Further investigation is indicated to determine the etiology of the etiology of the numbers.
Yeah, so that is a 3rd autopsy after, the body had newspapers in it. I don't really see how much you could tell from that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? There was 2 brothers, FBI brothers. Their mom and pop were FBI. This guy's a star wrestler. This guy right here is the one, apparently, that they think killed KJ.
Mm-hmm.
However, the attorney, the family attorney comes out. He blames this kid and his brother for the murder. They said they murdered him after the assault, and they put him down there. The cops covered it up because it was an FBI. Parents, okay, their attorney got disbarred, hopefully, for making up false evidence, blaming these 2 kids. This kid right here was on a bus when you saw Kendrick. He was on the way to a wrestling match. The other kid was sitting in class. They didn't have anything to do with it. However, the family comes out, because this case is very, like, for instance, I can't remember what other news. It was a big newspaper. The family sued for like $100 million or something. The family, they get their attorney and they file 38 individuals in a civil lawsuit, including these 2 kids and their parents. So the kid, the wrestler here, loses his scholarship that he got. He got a scholarship to all these big colleges, huge colleges. Florida State, I looked on his ESPN. I'll link to that. There's the ESPN recruiting thing, and his name's on there, picture and everything, and it shows all the scholarships he's attained. There were schools that were dropping him because of this. So, and this kid was on a bus to a wrestling match, accounted for. His brother was as well. The attorney the family hired, fakes all this evidence, files 38 people that have nothing to, 38 people. What the fuck? Who the fuck else? So what they did is that attorney tainted the entire case. So no one's taking this serious anymore. No one wants to touch it because they're afraid they're going to get sued. That's it. These kids had nothing to do with it. Their parents are both in the FBI. They raided these kids' house. There's an interview with this guy. He was like, yeah, I was, playing video games, and the FBI came, or not FBI, another agency came in, full SWAT gear, busted down the door, scared the shit out of me, and this guy was on a bus to a wrestling match. The family's going around about it the wrong way. They're trying to sue everyone that they can, and it's not doing any justice for the case. It's actually just pushing it further down the...
You also really like to hold until the end where these two kids were.
Yeah, I know. Dude,
I've swung very fast in the last 10 minutes.
Let's be honest, because I don't know why people think this is a murder. Let's go over the facts.
Okay, if you don't have certain facts.
The cameras were there. No one besides Kendrick and that other kid went past there. Kendrick didn't come out. One kid can't murder someone and stuff them down in there because picking up a dead body of 160 pounds and yourself is only 160 pounds is a big task. Number two, they're having gym class. And, oh, sorry, guys, don't look over here. I'm just stuffing this body down into this gym mat. Okay, that is just ridiculous. Okay, number two, the assault doesn't matter because even if they were assaulted by these kids, they weren't there. Number three, the fact that he could slide down there and it's proven, and his shoes were down there, and the body was contorted in a way that allowed it, that it looked like his body was trying to reach for the shoes. And the fact that we watched that video where you can't hear him scream and it's really hot and he's basically fucked. Like, why do people think this is a murder?
All right. You swayed me.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not even hard to sway you, man. This is like...
Well, before knowing where the kids were...
But even if it wasn't...
there are a few strange things about it.
But let's say it was a regular murder. Let's say these kids... I didn't even bring these FBI kids in there. Because, I mean... Obviously, there's no point in me going through their backgrounds because they didn't do it. They were accounted for. They didn't do it. Let's say someone else did it. Okay, you would have saw them on the CCTV.
Well, you couldn't see much on the CCTV.
But you saw the kids. You saw kids going through the gym. You saw no one was with them. He didn't really have any enemies besides these guys. Yeah, you have Facebook kids that are 15, 16 saying the goons got them, and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're fucking 15 years old. It doesn't make any sense. Who's going to murder someone and shove them down a fucking gym mat? I mean, that doesn't even make any sense. It does make, and plus he didn't have any shoes on. You know why? You know why he didn't have any shoes on?
Because they were in the thing.
No, because he took his shoes off because he was going to get the other shoes and put those shoes on. Come on, man. Why else would he have his shoes off? His shoes were off. That means right there he was over by the mats. Why is he over by the mats? He's not a wrestler. He doesn't need those mats. He was over there for his shoes. He fell in to get those shoes, and unfortunately he got stuck, man. And instead of bringing light to this case, the family, like I said, they try to sue everyone, and it all gets thrown out, and it just enrages the mother. And I feel for the mother, but when things are and I've seen this in many cases, which I'm not trying to many times in this case, which I'm not really trying to bring up because I don't want any comments or her reaching out to me. But when things are proved wrong, the mother doesn't come out and set the record straight. She just, if her point's proved wrong, she just pretends like it's not. Does that make sense? And that's what really enrages people. And dude, everyone, why do people think this is a murder? Oh, I know why. Because they don't do any fucking research. They just see the headlines.
I mean, it doesn't. No one wants to believe that their child died in a way like that. They're trying to find some sort of explanation as to why. No one. It's
senseless. It's accident or murder.
Yeah, but sometimes, man, you just gotta look at logic. It's like, this reminds me of that Jayla case, or I can't remember her name, but the one that was in the
one.
No, the one that was in the car wreck. People comment all the time on the blog, man. They're like, how could you say this was a drunk driver accident?
Oh, yeah.
Her clothes are folded up at the scene, all this stuff. I'm like, what's the alternative? A highway ripper came out there with a freaking samurai and all kinds of shit and just cut up her body in 1,000 different ways. Come on, man. What's the alternative to this? A kid or two kids that got on the mat when he's trying to change his shoes, murdered him, and stuffed his body down a mat, and then just went about their day and then they weren't even caught on CCTV. Come on, man.
The obvious answer is usually the right answer. Is that how that phrase goes?
Yeah, and and honestly,
the simplest answer is usually the right one.
I feel awful for the victim here, for Kendrick Johnson, and I also feel awful for this kid too and his brother, because they were harassed.
Yeah, that
you
sucks.
know, I mean, they were friends They were in an argument stage, but they were friends apparently. Kendrick was apparently friends with everyone at the school.
Yeah.
Like, no one had malice intent to kill him. There were no goons out there. It was a fucking shitty world tragic event that happens. It was a freak accident.
Mm-hmm.
It was a freak accident. There's nothing else, man.
I mean, I'd have to agree.
Because no one else thinks it's an accident for some reason. I don't think it's murder.
In order for it to have been a murder, there really needs to be.
But the family keeps coming out and getting Al Sharpton involved and all these people. So on the surface of it, it looks like a big conspiracy cover up. You know?
I mean, it's got all the makings of it. You've got a newspaper stuffed body, parents of an FBI agent where the kid had hit him or punched him a couple days before. There's definitely some points where at first glance it looks
you're right.
like murder. Mm-hmm. And you're right. It's an opportunity instead, though, to say, okay, guys, using this, even if it sounds like it was an accident, so if that's the case, what can you do to prevent somebody from falling into those? Putting a tarp over the mats or something like that,
or like an insert tube that's not wide enough for
like
another,
a pool noodle.
Yeah, something you can
or
roll the
even
mats
just
around.
like having the word out there that, okay, and this drives me crazy. I see this in so many cases. Okay, you start suing everyone, and then everyone shuts up and no one talks about it. And that's not what you want. You could take this and you can make something good. You can make a foundation. You can do something good with it, because even like no one thinks it's a murder. Like, no one that has studied the case besides the person that you hired from Atlanta or whatever that does an autopsy with the body exhumed 3 times. How the fuck can you even tell? The body didn't even have any organs in it. How the shit? Like, come on, man.
I mean,
it's like going through it over and over. Are you sure, like, before I hire you, are you sure that
you're going to tell me
what I want to hear? One thing I didn't mention, the family and the attorney that lied, he made up evidence. They themselves got sued for about $270,000 by, this kid's parents and other people that they filed, because they were blaming people for this, and they had nothing to do with it. It's like, dude, the freaking feds bust down my door, and the kid on the interview, I'll put the interview on talkmurder.com. You can see the door. It's like got this big shoe indention in it where the feds kicked it down. And there's an FBI's son.
Like, was that necessary?
No, it wasn't.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
But then the family uses that, like, oh, they finally got these people, and then they're like, well, we were accounted for. Like, you just slandered us.
Yeah.
And you lost my scholarship. What the fuck,
Yeah.
And then the family doesn't go back out and say, okay, we made a mistake. They just keep going. And it's like, dude, like, for real, like, stop. Like, But I'm just sorry. I feel sorry for him, but at the same time, man.
It's a sad case.
Yeah.
No one deserves to die that young.
No.
Yeah. I think it's a freak accident. Let me know what you think. Go to talkburn.com. Yell at me if you want. Blog posts. Just leave a comment there.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest piece of evidence is him with the way his one arm is up and his other arm is down, like he was reaching.
I think the thing that really did it for me is watching that kid in the video doing the video of it, and he's like, man, it's so hot in there. I was like, dude, you were in there for 30 seconds.
And honestly, yeah, that's true. But like, going back to, sorry, I didn't mean to like cut you off and then go back to me, but like, what maybe could have happened is maybe he didn't have them stuffed down there all the way so that he could access them from the top
Yeah.
without having to move all of the mats. And then maybe he had his hand on one and it like knocked it down a little bit further.
Yeah, and if you go halfway down, you're stuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
So if you go like maybe he's like, oh shit, now I have to like try to get it, and then fell through. I don't know.
it's just a shitty situation.
Yeah, it
man.
is, of
and now you
course.
see the mat that was at the very back because they threw them in the back because they want to hide them.
Right.
That was interesting
You
too.
don't have any. You're done, man. I mean, you can't. No one can hear you. It's so hot in there. You can't tip it over because there's 17 mats in front of you.
Yeah, and that makes it even harder to get the sound to echo. Like everything is insulated if you're all the way in the back.
And plus, the high school
That is
cheerleaders
the
were
ultimate
sitting.
soundproofing.
They were sitting on the mat the next day. All those mats, they're sitting on the top of them. You know, bullshitting. And then they finally
Oh, look. Feet.
yes, they could smell. Obviously, something was over there.
Jeez.
And then it's just like, fuck.
Well, hot damn.
Yeah. So
In the last 10 minutes, you swayed me
I
to
hope so.
accident. You did. I wasn't expecting you to, but in the last 10 minutes,
Well, I
you
swayed you
swayed
for it
me.
because they were the kids. You know, they were accounted for, but I mean, it could have.
Well, I did think it was weird that the camera seemed to stop at a certain time.
So we've done cases like this before. Let's be honest, man. Like Jen said earlier, these schools, they invest in some shitty ass equipment. These things were all out of time.
Well, it's not like they're investing in it. They're just giving the equipment.
Yeah,
It's like, here's
they were
what
just
you
like,
got.
here's what we got. Because they were all out of
Like
sync
the
in
plexiglass
time.
we were installing today.
Right.
They were completely out of sync in time. They were all grainy and shit. I mean, dude, because you have thousands and thousands of schools that get cameras, and one school, you actually need them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well,
So-
you need them in all the schools.
Yeah, I
It's
know,
just
but
that, like,
when you really need them,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
I mean, it is. I'm just curious, you know, if the school, the blur on the other camera couldn't have been much worse than the pixelation on that camera. Like, if we just had some sort of image from the other side, just to kind of see, because you think in a school, and obviously I'm not necessarily an expert. I have some experience in the school system, but you would think that you would want to have a camera near every entrance or exit point.
I'm so glad there's no cameras in my school when I was there.
Cool.
But even still, like even in our school, like in the hallway in our offices, there's not a camera in our hallway. There's a camera when you enter like the front office, but not when you go to the guidance hallway.
All right, so everyone, murder
Oh,
or
there
accident?
is actually. I lied, but I don't know if it works.
Murder or
or not.
accident?
Accident.
Here too. Let me know what you guys think. Go to talkmurder.com. This is Talk Murder Me podcast. Be sure to subscribe if you're not. Go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we are drinking here on video for you guys. And we'll see you next time. I got some great stories, so you better subscribe.